Ever wonder what it would be like to work for a really great company? One where you could grow in your career, you were felt like you were seen by your employer and your the upper crust of the company and appreciated just for showing up to do your job. No ass kissing, no jumping through this hoop and that hoop, and taking all the everything you can do on as much as you can and doing a really great job so your boss can take all the credit. Yeah, do good jobs exist? Hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Christy, and on this channel we talk about anything and everything in life over 50. The good, the bad, the ugly, the unexpected. And I really appreciate y'all being here with me. So, let's see here. Yeah, do good jobs really exist? I believe they do. They don't just, announce themselves on a billboard like, hi, we're a great company to work for. You have to do your research. You have to ask questions. You have to look for people who work there, people who've worked there before, ask them questions, and what's good for someone else may not be, necessarily your cup of tea. So, you got to really do your own searching and ask your own questions and to find those good companies. And yes, they do exist. And we were just proven that last week. So if you haven't heard, and I'm sure a lot of you have, last week SpaceX announced its historic, the IPO, initial public offering. Yeah. So he gave that, out there at the beginning, and all the people who went to work for him had the same option. They could get their part of their benefits in stock option. So I wrote this down. It is estimated that around 4,400 current and former SpaceX employees became millionaires. Millionaires plus, guys. Because of the IPO, because they took that stock option when they got hired. So furthermore, the upper echelon, upper management, executives and all that, about 400 workers, now hold stakes worth over $100 million. Could you imagine working for a company for, 8, 9, 10 years and waking up the next morning to see your stock portfolio is over $100 million? So here's some of the real stories from there. The welder, a contractor named Juan Hernandez, who immigrated from Mexico, joined the company in 2015, making about $28 an hour. I think that's pretty low for a welder. Anyway, by opting into stock and payroll deductions over the last several years, his stake has now grown to a value of nearly $900,000. Folks, that is the American dream. This man is probably the happiest guy in the world right now. I mean, can you even imagine that? Let's see, the intern, Trevor Heiss, took a risky internship at SpaceX in 2011, straight out of college, turning down his parents' advice to take a very stable job. And let's see, where was that? At General Electric. He stayed at SpaceX for 12 years, accumulating over 100,000 shares. And is now walking away with an estimated $13.5 to $16 million. He is 37 years old. What a way to start out the best part of your life, right? And those are just two stories from the company, you guys. We had company over last night, and this came directly from our good friend. He came over last night, and he happens to be friends with someone who used to work for SpaceX when it was in Silicon Valley. And for those of you that don't know, we're only like an hour and a half, 2 hours tops down to Silicon Valley from where I am. So we do know people who work out of the Bay Area a lot. And this is a good friend of his who worked for, like I said, SpaceX out of Silicon Valley. He worked there for several years. He took the stock option when he opted in. And when he left the company, he left the stock option rolling. Well, he's a millionaire plus now also. Doesn't even work for the company. Hasn't worked for the company for years. And now he's got more than $1 million in his portfolio. So I don't know what to say, guys, but I know you guys aren't going to like this, but if we had more people like Elon Musk running big corporations, letting all the workers enjoy in the profits, I think this world might be a little bit better off, but that's just my opinion. So, and I've had a couple great jobs in the past also. I've worked for some really wonderful family-run businesses that were very well established and well known in the community. And they treated me like a human. They treated me like a person. I with one company I worked at, when my grandmother passed away, you guys, I was sitting at my desk while my grandma was over in the hospital, obviously dying. And I was at my desk trying to do my job because that's what I need to be doing. And when the owner walked in, he immediately knew that I was not in my normal frame of mind, nor was I looking like I should, and immediately knew that there was something wrong. When I told him what was happening, he immediately told me to get my things together and get out of his office and go be with my grandmother and come back after everything was all okay. I ended up taking a few days because things were not okay, and they were super supportive. Another job I had working for another company, I had been there for about 1.5 years, and I ruptured my Achilles tendon, and I couldn't walk for over 6 weeks. I could barely even get around, and then I had to have surgery and all this stuff. And you guys, the owners of the company didn't want to see anything bad happen to me and continued to pay my salary. That was the hardest company I ever left, and I wish that they were still in business because I would have still be there. Either one of these companies, I would still be there had, the economy or whatever out here in the world that, decided that those companies weren't going to be able to make it. It's just sad because they were great. The owners were great. The employees were happy because the owners were great, because the owners liked to share in the wealth with everybody to make everybody feel good and wealthy and an important part. And that's just so important. Anyway, I love the job I'm having right now with YouTube. It's not paying too well, I could tell you that right now, but that's okay because I get to sit here and I get to talk to you guys. I get to share the information I see and learn out here in the world with someone other than my husband, who probably really gets tired of hearing all my yapping all the time. So what I did though, guys, is I didn't know how to start YouTube. I didn't know what to do with YouTube. So I got me a coach, and I started with SKOOL, SKOOL, under Common Sense Methods with Kevin and Michelle. These are my coaches. They are super great coaches, great people all around, and they've created a great community over there at SKOOL with a lot of really wonderful, helpful people. And if you guys are interested in doing YouTube, I highly recommend, if you need some help talking to my coaches, I'm going to put the link for them in the description box down below, and it's going to be under SKOOL, SKOOL, Common Sense Methods. So you guys check that out. So, reality of the job, you need a paycheck, but you need a job. So sometimes having that paycheck doesn't always mean a long-term job, just depending on what you're looking for. So if you're out of work, running low on funds, and you need a job, take whatever job you can get. It's called survival, and you need that money coming in. That's the most important thing, is you got to have an income. And, there's zero shame in taking a job that is what you might think is beneath you, or, less than your pay scale, because when you don't have food on the table and a roof over your head, it's a lot harder to find a job. So take whatever job you can get. If you're in a comfortable zone and you don't have to worry about those things and you're able to pick and choose, I highly recommend you do research. And even while you are working, if you're at a job that's not sustaining you, it's not making you feel like you're where you want to be, if it's, draining every bit of energy, and on the weekends all you want to do is sleep, that's not a good, healthy work environment, and it's probably not doing you any benefit. And maybe you should start looking around for something better, because there are companies out there that will treat you good, will show you respect, and will provide a good work environment where you can grow and gain more, or, whatever it is you desire. I would just do the research to find the right place. But like I said, if you have time to do all that and you don't have to worry about getting money in right away, I recommend asking a lot of questions when you get those interviews. Make sure you know exactly what type of situation you're getting into, because, if you're somebody who has a medical condition and you're going to need great medical care, I suggest you find a company that's going to offer you great medical care, because it's going to really help you in the long run. If you're just starting out in your career and you're getting the initial step into a company, make sure that company has room for you to grow. I know it's hard sometimes and you just got to get your foot in the door somewhere, but if that company is not giving you a growth path, look for another company to work at, because everybody deserves to have growth and be happy in what they do. I mean, this is your livelihood and you need to do it, so why not be happy doing it if you can? And, it doesn't always work out that way, but it's worth the try to try and make it work out. So, like I said, if you take that job that you don't really want or doesn't pay quite enough, you don't have to stay there forever. Most companies are not loyal to you, so, that's up to you how loyal you want to be to them. Or if you, however you want to play that out for yourself. So, with that all being said, shall we all work for a company that treats us as graciously as SpaceX? That would sure be nice, but when we have to, we just take that job just to pay the bills, and that's the way it goes. So anyway, you guys, I just wanted to bring this all to your attention to let you know, if you're struggling and looking for a job, there is still hope. It is still going to come around. There are still things happening behind the scenes. Hopefully this economy really gets going like we're hoping it will, with all the supposed new industries that we are getting. Really hoping to see that come out soon. Yeah, I did have an interview last week. I can tell you a little bit. It went really good, but I'm not going to jinx myself, so we'll talk about that when I hear more back from them. So, all right, you guys, well, that's all I have for you today. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.